All right, Shalom. Kol Haloyim La, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wahar, Rakak Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who were well for teaching me this truth. And salutations to the hopeful elect. All right, to you brothers out there across the globe pushing this truth with all righteousness and sincerity. And to you few sincere sisters who hearken as well diligently. Peace, love, and blessings. Kaya here back with another video. And just going to go ahead and get into another Israelite foreigner topic, man. Okay, Israel consists of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who have been stolen from Israel and western parts of Africa and dispersed all over the world. Okay, and for the brothers and sisters scattered abroad, who don't look like your average everyday Israelite, who may look like a so-called East Indian, a so-called Chinese, Japanese, a so-called white person, okay, or living like a so-called African and things of that nature. If this truth of the Bible resonates with your spirit, then you may very well be an Israelite, man. All right, because it's all according to the spirit. Okay, so 16. We have in this, Israelite foreigners, brothers that look like, so-called white people, okay, brothers that look like or act like, so not act like Africans, but who look like Africans or may speak, their language and things of that nature. There's a GMS Nigeria, okay. Lord's willing, our brother's still pushing. You got a GMS Australia. Okay, you got GMS Hawaii. All right, we're all over the place. Okay, but what are the men of the Lord doing, or what will the men of the Lord be found doing in these latter times, in these end days, pushing the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai? Okay. So, and the reason why they're able to do that is because they have the spirit on them. The spirit of prophecy to be able to break down scriptures, and be able to bond with other brothers, man, in like manner, no matter how they look according to the flesh. But with that being said, this is the book of Romans chapter 8, verse 16. It says, the spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. Once again, that's why you got Israelites who don't look like, your default Israelite, with the dark skin and the woolly hair. Okay, we got brothers, once again, that look like so-called white people, that look like so-called Asians, so-called Chinese and Japanese. There's a brother out there in the Philippines, okay, pushing the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, so it's the spirit, man. It's the spirit that beareth witness. But a lot of jakes in the world, they can't receive the things of the spirit, because the scriptures say what? The carnal man or the natural man receiveth not the things of the spirit, man. Or of the things that be of the Most High. Roughly paraphrasing, a carnal and natural man can't receive the understanding. Like I'm about to go into this article right here. To the unlearned and carnal eye, they wouldn't be able to understand that South Asia's Africans, there's the title, South Asia's Africans, a forgotten people. Okay, now, as we always push, we're not Africans. Okay, we are not Africans. We are Hebrew Israelites. Now, during the time of 70 AD, you had the Roman persecution. Okay, and this was after Yahweh Shai, completed his ministry, and he was caught up into the cloud, which is a so-called UFO, right? Which is a chariot, or Marakab. But in the time of 70 AD, you had a lot of Israelites, more specifically Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, who was fleeing Roman persecution. And a lot of them, were dispersed. Okay? A lot of them went to the westernmost parts of Africa and was taken off of the slave ships. Was taken off of the coast and put on slave ships. Pardon me. Okay, so I'm gonna read a little bit of this article. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, of course, and I'm gonna just just let it just roll through the spirit, man. So it says across South Asia, there are isolated communities of African origin, often disadvantaged and with only tenuous links to the continent of their forebears. Dr. Shihan de Silva Jayasuriya, a London-based researcher, explains how her interest in these communities was first aroused and how diverse patterns of migration still shape the situation of people widely known today as Sidis, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So already that first paragraph, when it's talk about isolated communities, all right, when you look at America, all right, when you look at America, mainly the East Coast, I will say that, mainly the East Coast. It's really all over, but I grew up on the East Coast, so I can say that. You got even out here in Albany, you got the rich and you got the poor, you got the more lofty neighborhoods, and then maybe somewhere right down the road you got the ghettos. Okay, it's isolated, and the ghettos is isolated, man. It's more congested. The buildings aren't as nice, the people aren't as nice. All right, the people are more in disadvantaged in poverty stricken areas, man. Okay, so that's something to pay attention to, because Israel is isolated, from the rest of these nations, these heathen. Okay, and through the spirit, looking at this picture right here, I could tell they are Israelites, man, because look at the modest apparel, which, you know what I'm saying. In the ancient world, all women had to have modest apparel. Don't get it twisted, okay? But looking at the whole energy, like look at this woman's face down right here, man. Like she looks oppressed. You know, she's wearing that grievous countenance. All right. It says, my interest in South Asian communities with African ancestry began when I encountered the Afro-Sri Lankan community in Serambiadia, a small village few miles inland from Purama on the northwestern coast. At the time, I was researching the current status of Indo-Portuguese, a Creole language. Okay, so now Sri Lanka, like over the past few years, they've been having a lot of uprisings. All right, Sri Lanka is over there, well, in this region of Asia, man. Okay, which I believe there's a lot of jakes over there. I did a video a while back. I might actually have to repost that, given certain circumstances. But I did a video a while back talking about the Dalit of India. Okay, and I was also, like, on my news app, a lot of articles going into Uttar Pradesh and areas like that, where I believe there's a lot of our people over there, man. All right, but the Dalit of India, I'm not gonna go into everything right now, but the Dalit of India, basically, basically the most oppressed people over there. Okay, they're the most oppressed people over there. They go through the persecution and the forced labor, the prostitution, poverty stricken environment. All right, the social inequality and injustice. Okay, and the word Dalit, when you look it up, it actually means, well, I'll just go ahead and look up, like, anything that you see involving social injustice, it usually has to do with Jake. All right, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans scattered abroad. What does Dalit mean? Oppressed or broken. All right, oppressed or broken. So there you go, man. All right, back in the 1960s and 70s, you had a group of Dalit who felt the same energy and basically did the same thing that the Black Panthers was doing over here in America with the whole social rising. All right, because what, they was sick of the oppression. Okay, so they ended up calling themselves actually the Dalit Panthers. All right, so that's just a little small word on that matter. So, like I said, you got Jake all over the place, man. Okay, but going back to the article, it says Indo-Portuguese is a language which should have died out with the end of Portuguese rule in 1658. Yet here in this small African community, it still survives, albeit spoken largely by the elderly. How had it survived among people with African ancestry? And what were the mechanisms which ensured that survival? All right, because what, when a people gets oppressed by another people, all right, the oppressors or the rulers, all right, what do? They force their habits on the ones that they're holding in captivity. All right, that's why they was still speaking that language, man. All right, just like how you got us over here in America. All right, over here in America, man, we're speaking English. We're speaking this bastard tongue. This is not our language. Okay. Let me see. Let me just kind of skim through this now. It says, I learned about their past from their own accounts of their history. They told me that their ancestors were slaves and soldiers who were brought from Mozambique, Madagascar, Goa, and Portugal by the Europeans who dominated the island for almost half a millennium. Yeah, half a millennium, man. Okay, now if I'm not mistaken, century is excuse me. Let me see. Millennium is 1,000 years. Millennium is 1,000 years. Excuse me. So those Europeans who dominated the island for almost half a millennium. So that's 500 years. Half a millennium is about 500 years. It says, but there are more subtle and far-reaching reasons which have a bearing on their current position. To understand this, we have to move beyond the shores of Sri Lanka. Why? Because those people are not native to Sri Lanka. They're not native to that land. All right, they were scattered over there. Afro-Asian communities are the result of a continuous centuries-old phenomenon, but why are they not widely known? Because here you got it in this world today. All right, even though we're living in a time of information, we have access to thousands of years of information. What Esau Edom does, all right, the so-called white man, all right, our oppressor, what he does, he'll take certain articles and certain pieces of information in history, all right, and leave it offline, man. All right, burning down the libraries, okay, deleting the scrolls, or taking the scrolls and important documents and holding them in the Vatican. All right, that's what this damn devil does, man. All right, and it's the same thing on the internet. Like, you don't really hear about, even though it is online, a little bit of it is online, but you don't really hear too much about African diaspora in places like South Asia and China and things of that nature. But no, these are actual things. All right. It says and that's why they're not widely known. It says the obvious reason for this is their hidden presence as forest dwellers, villagers, people on the margins. Most live in urban areas are not easily identifiable either, and are lost in the diversity of South Asia's cosmopolitan cities. Afro-Asians are taken for African tourists until they begin to speak in the local Asian language. All right, so there you go, man. You got Jake speaking what the language of the land that they're oppressed in. Once again, the same thing with the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans over here. All right, we're speaking English, okay, and it's the same thing for them over there. Movement of Africans to South Asia was fueled by the slave trade. See, there you go. It was fueled by the slave trade. An estimated 12.5 million Africans were moved across the Sahara, Red Sea, and the Indian Ocean to unfamiliar lands where they were rerouted. But this movement was over a millennium, from 90 AD to 1900 AD. the Indian Ocean slave trade was lubricated by socio-religious factors. Yeah, that Christianity nonsense. It says, but benefits from concubines, eunuchs, soldiers, and servants were not entirely economic. Okay? Let me see. Yeah, that was pretty much the point on that. That was pretty much the point on that. And there's something else I want to like look at the countenance of these people, man. I believe they're Jakes. You know, I don't believe that these are uh, natural Africans, who goes back to Ham, who goes back to Ham. I don't believe that these are natural Africans. Look, he got the fringes. He got the fringes on his it might be a Mitri, he might be covering his whole head, but it looked like, yeah, he got fringes on the ends of his I'm gonna just call it a Mitri. All right. But before I read further on, let me go ahead and get this, proving our diaspora, which it means disperse, or Africans. As a matter of fact, I'll get it after the scripture. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 64, because this is a curse for us to be scattered to these other nations, not knowing who we are. Okay, this is actually a curse. You know, which that's what the whole book, chapter of Deuteronomy the 28th goes into. All right, Israel receiving curses for their disobedience. So this is Deuteronomy 28 and 64. It says, "In the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone." Okay, and that's exactly what happened. All right, we got once scattered. All right, so let's go into the word definition. The word diaspora, the definition of the word diaspora. It says the dispersion of the Jewish people beyond Israel, which we're not Jewish, okay? We're not Jewish, all right? We're Israelites, all right? And Jew is just a term that comes from the head tribe of Judah. So that term Jew would actually be Yah, and Judah would be Yahweh, which means Yahweh thanks, all right, which is a dark-skinned race. So when you look at the land of Israel today, and you see those Jewish people over there, then that means they haven't been scattered. That means they're if those are the true chosen people, then why are they not scattered? Okay, which I'm not going to go into all of that, but all right, the Jews, the real Jews, okay, the real Israelites, we was scattered and dispersed from our homeland. All right, you still got some of our people over there, like, you know, bits and pieces here and there. Okay, but what? Israel, for the most part, has been scattered across the whole entire world. You know, so those light-skinned people over there, all right, those gutter rats over there with the hats and the, you know, the pigtail sideburns, all right, wearing all black suits and worshiping, what is it, the Western Wall? Those are not our people, man. Okay, that's our enemy. They're not oppressed. You know, so Deuteronomy 28 and 64, they haven't been scattered. No, they are scattered. Okay, they haven't been forced. All right, they haven't been forcibly scattered. Okay, they wasn't on slave ships. You know, so that's how you know that this is actually talking about us. Now it says serving gods, wood and stone. There was something in here earlier. Yeah, here it is. It says some Afro-Indians have found a role as spiritual healers, and that's what our people are, spiritual healers. Okay, it says that the shrines of African Sufi saints are frequented by Hindu, Christian, Zoroastrian, and Muslims alike. They are not concerned with the ethnicity of the saints or the spirit mediums through whom they simply want to benefit. All right, and when you because I believe if not all of them, the majority of them are Levites. And there was something, matter of fact, I might have read it already. Going back to this whole Creole thing. Where is it? Let me see. Because you got the so-called Haitians, which go back to the tribe of Levi. They speak. Here it is. They speak. They speak Creole. You know, a lot of Haitians, if I'm not mistaken, in New Orleans and things of that nature, they speak that Creole. All right, and if I'm not mistaken, Creole is like a well, it's Portuguese. Yes, it's like a Portuguese sub language. I think it's like Portuguese and African. Okay, but going back to the point, our people, what it says, the shrines of African Sufi saints are frequented by Hindu, Christian, Zoroastrian, and Muslims alike. They are not concerned with the ethnicity of the saints or the spirit mediums through whom they simply want to benefit. Yeah, so they're not following correct customs. All right, they're not following correct customs because we don't serve any of those gods of, of Islam and Hindu and Christian and so on and so forth. All right, and the method of healing that they're using is not according to the scriptures, man. All right, because our people fell from their estate. All right, we fell from our estate, man. Okay, the tribe of Levi, the tribe of Levi, very important roles to play in Israel. You know, they're very important roles to play in Israel. Let me see if I find it. They were the priests, the tribe of Levi. You know, which in Hebrew is Lawaya, which means joined to me or joined to me. All right, they were the only in the ancient world. They were the only ones allowed to be the priests. They were the only ones allowed to, have the human human and thuman, you know, which is basically spiritual connection and contact with Most High. Okay, they're the only ones allowed to really execute the law. All right, carrying the Ark of the Covenant. But I want to pull this real quick in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 10, verse 38. It says, "In the priest, the son of Aaron, shall be with the Levites when the Levites take tithes. And the Levites shall bring up the tithe of the tithes unto the house of our God, to the chambers into the treasure house." Nehemiah 10:39. "For the children of Israel and the children of Levi shall bring the offering of the corn, of the new wine, and the oil, unto the chambers where are the vessels of the sanctuary, and the priests that minister, and the porters, and the singers, and we will not forsake the house of our power." All right, so there you go. Again, all right, that was the point on that. All right, and that also brings me into this segment of the article. It says, in Pakistan, Karachi, and Sindh, the CDs sing lava, which encompasses Swahili words. In the nearby Maldives, Baburu lava brings out the music introduced by African slaves. Yeah, it says Baburu lava rings out the music introduced by African slaves. So let me look that up real quick. What is that? Baburu lava? Baburu lava. For this music outside, or noise outside rather. Let me see. Baburu lava. What does that mean? It don't look like it's showing results for anything. What is Baburu lava? Okay, here it is. I guess it's called Bodu Baru, a music and dance legacy. And then yeah, so let's see what it says on this real quick through the spirit. Let me see. It says a magical amalgamation of drums, vocals, and dance. Sounds like to me, Bodu Baru is an integral part of the island life in the Maldives. Its hypnotic charm is known to immerse the performers as well as the audience. Yeah, and that's the spirit of Jake, man. All right, the spirit of Jake is what like he's celebratory. You know, Jake loves to celebrate. You know, look at King David. You know what I'm saying? When King David, when Israel conquered the Philistines. All right, the scriptures say King David danced before the Lord with all his might. Okay, when you look at the tribe of Asher, the so-called Brazilians and things of that nature, and Colombians and many others. All right, they like to dance, man. They like to party. Carnival, which means leave off flesh. All right, because when you put off the flesh, you're putting off burdens. So it sounds like it's the same thing. But this I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's Bodu Baru. All right, Bodu Baru. I think that's another name for it. All right, so it says translated as big drum. Okay, so Bodu Baru, I guess it means big drum. It says its origins are primarily attributed to the African migrants. All right, so there you go, man. I'm not gonna read any more on that. All right, so it sounds like Jake just celebrating, man. All right, so that was that, and it says in Pakistan. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Pakistan, those Pakistanis, they go back to Elam, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those Pakistanis, they actually go back to Elam. Okay, and we had a captivity under the children of Elam, all right, which is the so-called East Indians, you know. But going back to this, it says the rhythm-driven music of the Roman Catholic Afro-Sri Lankan community in Dia in their Indo-Portuguese songs called Manas reverberate in my mind. Language is natural, and the lyrics are preserving the vestiges of an endangered language. All right. Now there's another scripture to bring out, which also represents that these could be our people. Okay, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 137, verse 3. It says, "For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing to us one of the songs of Zion." All right, so every captivity that we went through, as you could see that in the movie, the Temptations, man. All right, when they got pulled over by those damn pigs, they were just like, "Y'all really the Temptations? Oh yeah, go ahead, sing us a song." And what they were singing, when they were singing, it was just like it was real it was very somber. It was very it was grievous for them, you know, because what, we're in hell, man. Anytime Jake is going through something, whether it's or yes, it's a a elation or something like that, Jake sings the song, man. Like a swing low, sweet chariot coming forward to carry me home. You know, or kumbaya. All right. So every captivity that we go into, Jake, he just starts singing, man. Jake starts singing. Imagine how those songs sounded in the Paleo Hebrew when we was in the ancient world under those other captivities. All right. Let me get this. In the book of Exodus, chapter 21, verse 16, it says, "And he that," since we're talking about, captivities and singing, all right, and these people being taken from Mozambique on the southeastern part, right? But this is Exodus 21:16. It says, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, shall surely be put to death. All right, did not Esau Edom steal us? All right, the Roman Catholic Church backed the whole entire transatlantic slave trade. So that's how you know this has to be talking about us. These have to be our people. Okay, the isolated neighborhoods, the oppression, you know, the crimes, these have to be our people. It says there are a significant number of South Asians who are of African descent. All right, it says a significant number of South Asians who are of African descent. It says there are a large number of Pakistanis with African descent. As early as the 7th century, Africans settled on the Balochistan coast and the Sindhi shores. All right, so there you go, man. I might actually go ahead and leave this article here. All right, and there goes that word that place Uttar Pradesh again. Because like I said, when you look at when you look at the news and you see some of the crimes going on in some of these places, man, it's ridiculous, man. It's freaking it's outrageous, you know. But yeah, that was really the point on that. Okay, so you know, jumping back into the scriptures, I had got this one already. Okay. Let me see. All right, this is proof that Israel was under, just different captivities and different nations of people. This is Isaiah 11:11, and like I said, if I'm not mistaken, the so-called Pakistanis do come from Elam. I forgot. I'm not sure which son it is, but I'm almost confident that they are Elam. But this is Isaiah 11:11. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. All right, so there you go, man. Because what? Israel was scattered. You know, we was scattered all over the place. You know, and he shall set up in verse 12 says that he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So this is going to happen when who the world called Jesus Christ comes back and save us. We're not going to be looking like the other nations no more. We're not going to be acting like the other nations anymore. All right, we're going to be in our respective place, which is under our spiritual king Yahweh Shai. All right, our top most holy king Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ, whose name is He is salvation, and of our earthly king, which is King David. All right, Malak Dawad. All right, King beloved. That's what Dawad means. Beloved. All right, but that was the point on that. Let me get this in Deuteronomy, and then I'm gonna close out through the Spirit. All right, Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1, it says, and it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee. Once again, the Most High drove us to these other nations and scattered us to these other nations for our disobedience, and caused us to what? Serve other gods and take on their customs and languages. You know, same thing with these people in this article, like the Sidis. You know, verse 2, it says, and shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God, Yahweh thy God, will turn thy captivity, meaning take it away, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Lord thy God have scattered thee. All right, so there you go, man. This is the salvation. This is the salvation that we have coming to us. You know, so to you brothers out there in South Asia, you know, or just in the Asia continent in general, to you brothers out there in Africa, brothers in Hawaii, brothers in Australia, brothers in Europe, all over the place, this is our salvation, man. All right, this is our salvation. This is why you got our people waking up all across the world, man, and teaching this word because we want to be saved. We need salvation. We need Yahweh Shai. All right, He is salvation. He's salvation, or He delivers. All right, that's the name of our Lord and Savior, who is a dark-skinned man, by the way, pursuant to Revelation 1, verse 13. Okay, so with that being said, Lord's willing, this was edifying, and until next time, Shalom.